There is a law that quietly runs your entire life. It explains why some people seem to bend circumstances in their favor while others repeat the same cycles, no matter how hard they try. The Kybalion calls it the principle of vibration. Nothing rests. Everything moves. Everything vibrates. And more stable vibrations pull weaker vibrations into their rhythm. You see this with pendulums hung on the same wall. After a while, they begin to swing together. The stronger rhythm silently pulls the weaker into sync. The same thing happens with people in a room, with the mood of a family, with the culture of a company. It's happening right now between you and your reality. If your internal frequency is unstable, swinging between desire and doubt, hope and fear, you are not leading. You're not transmitting. You're being tuned. Whoever holds the most stable inner state in your environment sets the tone, not through force, but through induction. This mechanism doesn't switch off. The only choice you ever have is simple. Become the dominant frequency, or be reorganized by someone else's. Most people live with one basic assumption. I am here as an individual, reacting to a world that exists independently of me. It feels logical and safe, and it's the exact assumption that keeps them powerless. Hermetic teaching flips this completely. The first principle of the Kybalion is mentalism. The all is mind. The universe is mental. That means reality is not a dead physical thing pressing in on you. It is a mental field responding to mental causes. What you hold in consciousness is not a comment on what is out there. It is the blueprint that out there conforms to. Neville Goddard made this brutally practical with one image. The mirror. A mirror has no autonomy. It doesn't decide whether to smile or frown. It simply reflects what stands before it. Reality works the same way. Circumstances don't decide how to treat you. They reflect the image you hold of yourself and of them. Most people live in reverse. They look at conditions and say, "This is how it is, so this is how I feel." In Hermetic logic, the direction is the opposite. This is how I am, therefore this is how things must arrange themselves. The mirror cannot argue. It adjusts. There is a second layer. Relationships. Neville summarized it in a sentence. Everyone is you pushed out. The people around you are not moving from some completely separate center of will. They are unconsciously playing roles that confirm your deepest assumptions about yourself, about them, and about life. The one with the most stable state, the clearest inner definition of who I am and what this is, functions as the conductor. Others whose state is more scattered unconsciously tune to that conductor's frequency. No one thinks, "I'll submit to this person now." It happens below thought, like instruments following a tempo. Whoever has the clearest signal leads, whoever doesn't follows. The Kybalion calls the deliberate use of this law the art of mental transmutation. Mental states vibrate. Strong, calm, sustained vibrations impress themselves on weaker, chaotic ones. This is why some people walk into a tense room and the atmosphere softens around them, while others turn a calm space into conflict simply by existing there. The room isn't random, it's responding. The question is never, "Is this happening?" The question is, am I the one transmitting, or am I being pulled? Here is where most people sabotage themselves. Their vibration is unstable. In the morning, they're hopeful. At midday, they doubt. At night, they're afraid. For 3 minutes, they imagine success. And for the next 3 hours, they imagine how everything might go wrong. The signal they send is incoherent. The Bible calls this double-mindedness. The double-minded person shouldn't expect to receive anything, not as punishment, but because they are spinning the dial constantly. No station can come in clearly. Hermetic teaching offers an antidote: polarization. Instead of being dragged up and down by moods, news, and other people's reactions, you learn to fix yourself at a chosen point on the scale and remain there. Not by repression, not by pretending, but by sustained inner choice. Neville translated this into one word: state. A state is not a passing feeling. It is an assumed identity. It is the inner position from which you think, feel, and act. When you assume the state of already being what you desire, already chosen, already successful, already forgiven, you're not acting as if. You are occupying a specific vibratory position and stabilizing there long enough that the mirror of reality is forced to reflect it. Think of someone who has just genuinely received a promotion. Their nervous system shifts. The question, "Will I get it?" disappears. They move with a different ease. Annoyances don't disturb them the same way. For them, the matter is settled. That feeling of completion, "this is already done," is the frequency that reorganizes reality. Desire mixed with anxiety says, "I don't have this, I need this, I might not get it." That is a vibration, and life faithfully reflects more lack and more uncertainty. Obsessive effort does the same. When you have to repeat an affirmation 200 times just to feel a glimpse of stability, the repetition itself is proof that the state is not yet assumed. No one repeats, "I am alive," all day to believe they're alive. What is truly natural doesn't need force. Real change comes when the desire stops being a desire and becomes an inner fact. When "I want" dissolves into "I am." When your nervous system feels the result is normal, not distant. At that point, the external world has no mechanism to resist. It is compelled to reorganize, not by magic, by law. Strong, stable vibration dominates. This doesn't only apply in your head. It governs every interaction. Most people think every meeting is a clash of separate wills. Mine versus yours. My opinion versus yours. Neville gives a different model. There is always a protagonist and a cast. The protagonist is the one whose inner script is clearest. They are not fighting others. They are transmitting. The cast unconsciously adjusts to that script. If you enter a situation as someone who is always overlooked, always less, always one step below, you transmit that frequency. People pick it up and play their roles perfectly. Dismissive, distracted, condescending. Not because they consciously choose to disrespect you, but because your frequency quietly wrote their lines. Change the frequency and the cast changes. Not because you forced anyone, but because you finally stepped into the protagonist role you always had. Leadership over reality belongs to whoever holds the most stable, intentional inner definition. This law doesn't switch off when people are far away from you. Distance belongs to the senses, not to consciousness. The Hermetic principle of mentalism means there is one mind expressing as many. Neville goes further. There are not many separate consciousnesses interacting. There is one consciousness, dreaming itself as everyone. Think of a nighttime dream. While you dream, other people seem independent. They argue with you, surprise you, comfort you. But when you wake up, you see that every character was generated by one mind, yours. There was never them in there, just you, fragmented into roles. Neville suggests waking life works in a similar way, at a deeper level. one consciousness appearing as many. That means when you change the way you imagine someone, you are not doing an empty mental exercise. You are editing the script at the source. If you hold someone in consciousness as stubborn, cold, hostile, you keep planting that version in the only soil that exists. If you revise that inner image, see them cooperative, kind, aligned, and emotionally accept this as the new normal, you're not preparing for action. You are taking the action where it counts. From there, life finds paths your rational mind could never design. Messages, encounters, shifts in behavior appear that look like coincidence. They're not. They're the outer echo of an inner revision. This applies not only to people, but to time. Most believe the past is fixed. It happened. I can't change it. That belief only holds if you imagine the past stored somewhere outside consciousness, like a recording on a hard drive. But if the universe is mental, the past exists only as impressions in mind, and mind is malleable. Neville's method of revision treats the past like a draft, not a sentence. Before sleep, you mentally revisit the scenes of the day that didn't match who you choose to be. The argument, the humiliation, the bad news. But you don't replay them as they were. You rewrite them. In imagination, you respond differently. They respond differently. The outcome changes. You feel the new scene as if it actually happened, and accept it as the real version. You're not lying to yourself. You're using the pruning shears of revision. Just like a gardener cuts dead branches so the plant can grow stronger, you cut dead emotional branches from your timeline. The old version loses power because you stop feeding it. The new version becomes the active record in consciousness, and future experiences begin to align with it instead of with the wound. This is mental transmutation applied to the past. One state of memory transformed into another by changing its vibration. There is a complementary practice aimed at the future, planting what you want to experience. Neville centers it on a specific state, SATS, state akin to sleep. That borderland before you fall asleep where the body is heavy, thinking loosens, and images flow more easily. In that threshold, the conscious mind's guard relaxes. The subconscious, the creative womb, becomes more accessible. It doesn't judge or analyze. It simply accepts impressions and works to externalize them through paths you don't need to know. In SATS, you construct a short scene that implies your wish is already fulfilled. Not you trying, not you chasing. Only what would naturally be true after it's done. A friend congratulating you. A message of good news. A peaceful interaction after reconciliation. You feel it as real, with sensory detail, and you loop it gently until sleep takes you. You're not begging. You're not forcing. You're handing a finished picture to the only part of you that can actually reorganize reality. Most people use this same window to replay fears and frustrations. They fall asleep arguing in their minds, reliving failures, worrying about tomorrow. They are faithfully delivering those vibrations to the subconscious, which then organizes the next days to match. You reverse the pattern. By day, you hold the state of already being who you choose to be. When old stories rise, you refuse to worship them. By night, you prune what doesn't belong with revision and plant what you want with SATS. Slowly, the transmission becomes clean. The oscillation calms. Your vibration stabilizes around a new identity. And reality, which never had free will of its own, begins to reflect you differently. People treat you differently. Random opportunities appear. Long-standing patterns dissolve. You are not a victim of a fixed world. You are an operant power, continuously broadcasting a state and living inside its echo. When you understand that, the game changes. You stop asking, "Why is life doing this to me?" and start asking, "What am I transmitting right now? And who am I willing to become?" I wish you all the best. And until next time.